So first thing, there's obviously tons of ways to get content into the cloud. There's command line tools and APIs. You can set up dedicated connections between, Microsoft and Amazon and others. Amazon will even literally drive a truck to your office and load up petabytes of data and drive it to one of their data centers. If you have, that amount of data and that amount of money, they'll be happy to do that service for you. But as we know in media, media is unique, right? There's solutions that work for other industries often don't work in ours. And so there's always unique challenges, and it always requires unique thinking and unique solutions. So first thing is, ingest is rarely a one-time thing. So that truck move from Amazon can be great for a migration, but that's obviously not going to work well as your ongoing ingest strategy. Second, content's often coming from all over the world, right? We're creating so much content these days. The content wars are on, and there's just a massive amount of new content being created all the time from, new providers popping up. And so, again, a dedicated connection might be great for certain workflows. It's not gonna, that's not gonna work for, for ingest coming from all over the globe. Of course, we're dealing with massive files, and in some cases, millions of files. So solutions that work for standard types of data don't always work well when you're moving a 200 gigabyte file, or when you're moving a folder that has millions of files, or you're moving a growing file or a growing folder. All those things present unique challenges. We're seeing a lot of certainly like in the VFX world, people working in frame-by-frame formats where their folders may have nested folders with millions of files in them, and those things tend to break lots of standard tools. So those are certainly considerations in media. We're clearly in a hybrid cloud, multi-cloud world. So again, using tools that work well for Amazon or work well for Microsoft. We really need to think about private cloud, public cloud, and working across all vendors because there's so much, there's so much interesting stuff going on. You want to be prepared to work with not just what's here today, but with what's coming down the pike. We have content often coming in from people and from systems, so you need solutions that work for both. So, API or command line tool might be great for, building an automated workflow, but that's not going to be great for a producer who's, delivering you content, or a creative end user, who needs to be able to deliver content to you. Of course, we're dealing with dozens of formats, and seems like more and more popping up all the time. And so spec compliance becomes pretty important, right? So we see this a lot with ad ingest workflows, where we're working with hundreds of advertisers, and you say, well, just send me a 30-second video file. Well, that could come in literally hundreds of different ways, and so being able to validate against the specs that you require becomes an important piece of an ingest workflow in media. And then finally, metadata, is value. I think the buzz phrase these days is metadata is the new oil. So you need solutions that can not only carry the metadata with the files as they move, and move from file storage to object storage, and object storage back to file storage, which creates some complexity. But you also want to be able to add metadata along the way as you learn new things, or as new people touch those assets. So continuing to build up those metadata assets as things travel become particularly important in today's media world. So let's talk a little bit just about the evolution of cloud in media and entertainment. So back in the mid-2000s, when the industry started to move to file-based workflows, it was all on-prem. It was kind of pre-Amazon, and it was big heavy lifting operations, but all on-premises equipment. And I would say around probably 2011, 2012, you started to see some exploration in media, early exploration of using the cloud for various workflows. And there was a 4 or 5 year period where there was lots of tries and fails and things, different types of experimentation. And I would say just over the last couple years, we've seen sort of a new framework emerge, which we're calling true cloud. So let's talk about a little bit about what that looks like and what that means. So first thing, back then, early cloud, it was basically only Amazon. Now we've got Google and Microsoft coming on the scene and create lots of interesting AI services and new media-specific services that you can get from those guys. Lots of technology that makes it so you can leverage cloud technology, but in your own data center. So private cloud becoming an important thing as well. And so we're really moving from what was once a pure AWS world to really a hybrid cloud, multi-cloud world. And I think we're seeing that as a really important tenet in media. We went from what I'd say like custom, complex, tightly integrated workflows to much more loosely coupled, event-driven workflows to create more agility, so you can plug and play those new services a lot more easily. That's certainly a trend I think in the true cloud era. Cloud native, when we launched our first SaaS product back in 2012, the term cloud native was not well understood and it was misused a lot. I think that term is now well understood and used much more consistently across the industry. So I think that helps vendors and buyers, communicate about the value prop a lot more easily. I think we've moved from custom solutions to off-the-shelf multi-tenant SaaS. So, I think early days it was like, well, let's take, the software that we're currently running on-prem and let's load it up in a VM and we'll call that cloud. And just, a lot of challenges with that, not a lot of benefit. I think the move to off-the-shelf multi-tenant SaaS creates a lot of economic value, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then finally, the business models, I think early was not well understood. Certainly things people have been surprised by, things like egress fees and just understanding different costs and economics. And you had software vendors who were charging for things in certain ways and then compounding that with your Amazon bills. And I think we've got much clearer commercial frameworks now that are not only much more well understood, but that align well with business value and with specific media workflows. So I think all of those things have been positive trends. So early cloud summarizes it was a lot of high upfront cost, definitely some weird economics where you might be paying for assets under management to your software vendor and then also paying Amazon, and so you're basically getting hit twice on for every asset. So there's a lot of weird things in the early days where with a lot of surprise bills. I think we've moved beyond that for the most part. Working on these big custom solutions, we had a lot of vendor lock-in, high switching costs, just lack of agility that just trapped people in with these sort of never-ending projects that were, once they were done, they were behind, and you just have to continue to evolve. And I think we're sort of moving away from a lot of that as well. So we weren't really reaping the true benefits. There might have been some benefits of saying, all right, well, I'm going to take this off-prem and move it into the cloud and save some dollars that way. But we weren't really accessing the true benefits of the cloud that we are seeing today. So with the true cloud, much lower upfront costs, right? With some of these services, you can get up and running very quickly, up and running in a day or instantly. Much better economics, predictability, separating that Amazon bill or the Google bill or the Microsoft bill from the actual software as a service bill, and making costs much more predictable. Again, being able to point those SaaS applications also a private cloud where you can eliminate the egress and ongoing cloud costs in those ways. So a lot better predictability across the economics. Way more agility, right? Now you can with these loosely coupled event-driven workflows, you can just, it's much easier to just plug and play new stuff and sort of stay up with the times without having to go back to a single vendor and rebuild and continually rework these big custom solutions. So now we're starting to really recognize I think the true benefits of some of these cloud solutions with scalability and highly availability and again better economics and also tapping into what I would say like sort of the wisdom of the market. So as new trends come on board, software vendors are building capabilities that if you're in a multi-tenant SaaS environment, you're going to reap the benefits of those improvements versus having to go back and add that to your specific application. So there's tremendous benefit to it, but it's also a complete, I would say a big shift in mindset. I think, there's still some of this. I would say this shifting mindset is still going on. But when we started selling SaaS solutions, in the early days of the cloud back in 2012, we were, getting here's my laundry list of features, and I need it exactly this way, and I'm a special snowflake, and I need my special workflows, and I'm not willing to budge on any of that. And that sort of led people down this path of, kind of early cloud, big custom solutions. Whereas with the multi-tenant SaaS, I think we're seeing a little shift in mindset of, hey, maybe if we adapt our workflows just a little bit, we can get 80% of the functionality, but at maybe 1/10 of the cost, and remain, and reap all those other benefits. Or maybe I can, that other 20% functionality, maybe I can build that with some event-driven workflows and bolt on some things and get it to where I need and still solve the same business problems, but do it slightly differently or do it, in similar ways that other companies are doing it. We can all benefit from that from the, economies of scale there versus, each one of us, each company building their own thing. So it's definitely a shifting mindset. I won't say we're completely there yet, but I would say just in the last couple years, we've seen a shift from companies saying, no, we're not going there, to, yeah, I think that makes sense. Let's start to think about how we can adopt some of these multi-tenant SaaS solutions. We talked about, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud. I think this is probably the most important thing, regardless of what you're building today, whether it's, a cloud ingest solution or anything else. There's so much, the cloud wars are on, and there's so much innovation going on, and so much competition, and there's so much opportunity for media companies to leverage this competition, whether it's taking advantage of on-prem equipment with open source technology, or local object storage on-prem, or services from across the public cloud vendors. Whatever you're building, you need solutions that can work across all of these different environments, and not only just work across them, but be able to quickly repoint those solutions at those different cloud options. So I want to be able to have my application pointed at Amazon, and I might switch that over to Google, or I might switch that back to on-prem, and without changing the user experience at all, or without having to do any re-architecting or recoding. So I think the most important sort of tenet, I would say, to think about and to consider is that storage abstraction layer, and making sure that you build that into whatever you're doing, again, whether it's cloud ingest or anything else, because that will give you a lot of agility and will allow you to take advantage of some of the innovation and price competition that's going on across the public cloud vendors. So let's just look at an ingest workflow. Again, I think we talked about this earlier, but you've got content coming in from multiple places. So I got people and I've got systems. So if I've got content coming in from people, I need to provide them an easy, simple way to get their assets into my cloud, add custom metadata, validate against delivery specs, again, put that into any type of storage. Maybe that'll trigger a workflow where I do a virus scan or something else on the back end. And then the same thing, maybe I'm doing a migration, or maybe I have a partner who's constantly contributing content to me. I need to run that through an automated workflow where I'm doing the same types of things, landing it, maybe doing a virus scan, running it through a transcode farm, whatever it is. I want to have ingest applications that can support automated and person-initiated workflows. So finally, just a quick kind of plug for Signiant. So like I said, we've been doing this for a long time, and so we're seeing our Media Shuttle product being used a lot as an out-of-the-box cloud ingest portal, and so provides that really easy user interface with our acceleration, so any size file or any size folder with millions of files from anywhere in the world. With custom metadata, spec compliance, pointed at any type of storage, and of course it's enterprise grade, so you've got all the security, reporting, administration, and it's multi-tenant SaaS, so it scales up and down to meet any size operation. So from those learnings that we've done along the way, we've built our solution in a way that I think accommodates a lot of the challenges that are unique to the media industry, and we're seeing a lot of success. We have over 500,000 users from nearly 25,000 media companies of all sizes all across the world. So I think we are starting to see that true cloud take shape. So with that, pause and say thank you for being here, and open it up if anyone has any questions about cloud ingest or anything else.
Okay, we've got a question. You want a discovery track rule, no prizes till we get at least one question.
All right.
Are there any applications for like live video transfer?
Yeah, so we don't per se support any live video today with our applications. We do some, our core technology does support things like growing files and contribution streams. So we are starting to see some of that, but most of the stuff that we do is around files. And I would say, there's more and more chatter about streams in the B2B workflows, and so I think that's something that's emerging. Certainly for live and linear, that's always been the case. But with some of these new platforms and workflows, we're seeing a lot of chatter about that, but not yet a lot of actual movement. So it's still mostly files, at least from what we're seeing.
Round of applause for John.
All right, thanks.